skaters, welcome back to Good Luck With That. Today's guest is someone we love, we respect, and I got to disclose up front, we're kind of biased because she's our bud. We're so lucky to have her on the podcast. Jill Perkins is on Good Luck With That today. If you've spent any time around skateboarding or snowboarding, Jill Perkins is one of those riders whose name just carries weight across the entire action sports industry. Snowboarders respect her, skateboarders respect her, filmers and photographers respect her, which usually means that you've been doing something right for a very long time. From filming in the streets to putting out thoughtful and creative video parts, pushing progression, handling so many injuries, and navigating the industry at large is definitely not an easy thing to do. And she's done this with integrity and a grounded perspective. What I'm trying to say is, way to be an overachiever. Welcome to the pod, Jill.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you for having me. I am stoked to be here.
That's it, Nora?
Yeah, hello.
No comment?
For those of you who don't know Nora Vasconcelos, Nora Vasconcelos and I have been friends for a very long time. She seems to have nothing to say, but I admire her very much. Nora?
I was like in another place. I'm sorry.
Put the
That
phone
was super
down.
crazy. I'm not on the phone. Like, that was the thing. I was fully just like,
It was, my intro was so boring that it put her into another atmosphere.
I like fully was in a trance, but I don't know where I was.
It's all right.
Yeah, we got Jill Perkins here. Jill, you're an anomaly, and there's many reasons that you are, but I first met Jill shortly after I moved to California at Etnies Skate Park of Lake Forest, and I had not really like been around many girls who were around my age who skated, especially skated well. She had a lot more hair at the time and tighter pants. Jill,
we all?
tell us about it.
Didn't we all?
Tell us about it. Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's pretty much how I remember it. Definitely tighter pants. I think at one point I was wearing I had like a tight dress, but I had rolled it up as a shirt. So yeah, that was weird. I learned my lesson. It was gathering in all the wrong places, let's just say.
I feel like I rarely see you like completely not pull together like a good fit or like a fashion outfit. So
Thank
it's
you.
funny to think that there was a time where you really didn't have it together like that.
There was, and I'm sure in 10 years from now I'll look back and be like, you bitch, you really didn't have it together then either. But here we are and we're living in the now.
Are you going to be offended if I call this the Von Dutch, Ashton Kutcher era?
Ooh.
Ashton Kutcher. Oh, Jesus. Down with Ashton Kutcher. But for some reason, I have this vague memory of Von Dutch being canceled for some reason. So let's not coin that.
Okay, trucker hat.
Yeah, trucker hat. I like the A-frame.
A-frame trucker hat.
Yeah. Hats have always been like a accessory of mine, I would say.
So, Jill, what's going on right now? What can you tell the people? What stage of life are you currently in?
Well, stage of life. Thank you so much for asking. It's a great question. Come 2 weeks from now, I will not have a place to live. So that's exciting. I'm in the middle of a move. I've been in Salt Lake City for the past 12 years, going on 13. And it's just time to move back to California. So I'm going to head down south in a couple weeks. And, it's interesting. I think, not to segue this, but I've learned a lot through snowboarding and through action sports. And I think one of the major things I've learned was like letting go of things, is control being one of them. And I think about, I had movers in here this morning, and as I'm like getting rid of things and they're going to storage, they're kind of going all over the place. It kind of goes against what's ingrained in me as a person to like kind of take control of situations. And I just am looking around and being like, I don't really know where I'm going or where I'm going to end up as far as like my address, but I do know that I want a better quality life, and I know I want to be somewhere. And instead of trying to control that whole thing, I'm kind of like letting it unfold and taking control of the things that I can handle rather than, sitting and spiraling. So, nod to snowboarding and action sports and my peers for teaching me that, you can't really control every situation.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Facts. Yeah, I think selfishly, I'm excited for this next chapter. Jill's put a lot of time into Salt Lake, and it's time to join forces again.
It is.
I want Jill to be my neighbor.
Yep. I'm moving right down the street from Nora, we think. Who knows? But yeah, I'm really excited. My family's there. A lot of the industry is there, whether it might seem like some of the snow industry is there or not, it is. And yeah, I think I've been here for so long, and it's been such a awesome place to live, and I will be absolutely coming back. But I'm excited for, I'm in my 30s. I am single. I am bored in Utah, and a lot of my friends live in California, so it'll be fun.
I think we just heard an ad.
Yeah, actually, I had this all planned out in my head, but you guys didn't ask me like where are you from?
Listeners, call in, write us. On this very special dating episode, we will be pairing you, Jill.
Yes, thank you so much for asking. I am single. Thank you.
Can we have your specs, height, interests, sign?
Yep, I am 5'9" with no shoes on. I am a Virgo as my main. Aries and Libra. I don't know which one, but it's a combination of sorts. And what do I like to do? That was the third question.
Yeah, what's your dream date?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, that's a lie. Jill knows.
No,
Jill
I mean,
knows.
like, without getting too serious, like, I just want to, fall in love and laugh and have a best friend without getting, again, too serious.
Just LA, live, laugh, love.
Yeah, I'm just trying to live, laugh, love. That's it.
I don't think this is going to be too hard for Jill. But in the meantime, I am excited to have you here because you were like a skater before you were a snowboarder. Can you illustrate this for us a little bit? Because I don't think many people know.
It's an interesting timeline. So when I was, let's see, I'm 32 now. When I was a kid, I probably skated from the ages of, probably to the age of 11. I was going into middle school and I loved it. And there was one other girl I skated with. She was my neighbor. Her name was Caitlin. And that felt comfortable. We were in like that kid-like mindset where you're not really paying attention to the outside forces of society and whatever. So I skated for like 5 years of my youth, like real young baby Grom. And then by the time I entered a new school, I basically, got the slander of like, that's not feminine. Like that's, I got called a dyke. Okay. Can I say that? And I think,
Yeah, sure.
and back then, I mean, I didn't identify as queer. And I also like didn't even really know what that meant. It just felt aggressive. And I think, okay, well, that's, I think I internalized that. And I was like, well, one way around this was to join the soccer program. But so then I quit skateboarding and at the age of 11, probably around there. And I played like conventional sports all through high school. So from like middle school or fifth grade, I guess it was fifth grade to my senior year of high school, I didn't skate or snowboard or anything. And then my senior year, I went snowboarding with a buddy of mine. And I had gone snowboarding as a kid, like maybe 2 or 3 times, like with family, like on holiday. And I always loved it. But my parents worked. So like we never really got the opportunity to go do it as much as I would have liked to. We also kind of lived far from the mountains. Anyways, so I found snowboarding later, and it really did feel like this like Pandora's box thing where I was like, holy shit, like I just enjoyed it so much. So then I continued on snowboarding through that season. And then after I had graduated high school, I went to this camp called High Cascade. And it's a camp that's located, or it used to be, it's called We Are Camp now, or Seek Skate Camp, as some people, probably a lot more of your listeners know it by that. They did a summer program, and it was a summer snowboarding camp. And I went, and I was like 17 or 18 at the time. And I was like surrounded by female skaters and snowboarders. And I was like, holy shit, like this world does exist. And this was like kind of right when the internet, like Instagram, like there was still not that much of it on social media. I mean, compared to now, I should add. But yeah, and that kind of turned it all around. So in a long-winded way, I started skating when I was young. I hung it up for a huge portion of my life. But ever since I started snowboarding, I kind of like skateboard on the side for fun.
You're being very modest, Jill. You played traditional sports, you skated, but like I'm positive I'd put so much money that you could have been pro at any of the things that you did? Like, you got into snowboarding senior year and you are one of the gnarliest street snowboarders. You picked up skating, I mean, good age, like you said 11, 12, right? You could have been pro. You go on the skate trips and you rip it up with all the girlies.
For the right reasons, right? Like, I think progression is at an all-time high because of the role models that the younger generation has had and the ones we've had before us and the ones that we live amongst. So, I appreciate that, Ashley. I really do. Thank you.
But
Yes.
why snowboarding? Like, what stuck? Again, like, you could have had it, you could have done any of these, and something about that was the one.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think snowboarding, without putting too much thought into it, I think like by the time I picked skating back up, there were a lot of other girls doing it, which was great. But I think snowboarding, like I was in my own world. Like I was kind of like the only girl at the resort. There's one other girl that I ever saw basically snowboarding. My first year snowboarding at Mountain High, like actually like doing tricks. And I think I was like attracted to that. And I think I was also attracted to the fact that it's like not this like cookie cutter California thing. Like, or just it was just my thing. Like I didn't know anybody that did it. I was like one guy I went to high school with who like needed to escape family issues and I'd go snowboarding with him. And so it just became something that like I knew nothing about. Maybe that's another thing too, is like I knew some stuff about skating, like what you know as a kid, like, when you play the video games and you go to skate lab, but I knew nothing about snowboarding and I think that just excited me.
I think it's crazy to like come into something like that because I felt the same way with skating where I like didn't know anything about the core or like the culture or the history of it, and I was just kind of like a sponge that wanted to absorb anything and everything. But it's also really cool to start in that way because it's very pure, and I think it's really easy to find like your stride or your style. And I just feel like the pressure's off you when you discover it like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I don't it wasn't like picking one or the other. And I think it wasn't an internal choice where I'm like, I can either skate or I can either snowboard. I think it just like naturally progressed into that because I was so green and, I did want to absorb as much as I could with it being new and fascinating and exciting. Like these names I've never heard of and like, what trick is that? Like what I remember seeing somebody do like that girl like was trying to do a front board. And I remember it's ironic now because that's probably my favorite trick or my safety trick, I guess you could say. Where I'm like, what is it? I want to learn that. Like one of the first things out of my mouth in a snowboarding landscape was like, and my friend told me they're like, that's a front board, and I was like, I got to learn that. But like that's how little I knew was, yeah, absolutely nothing. And then I think because I moved to Utah shortly after, so I was home. I graduated high school. I lived at home for a year, and then I moved directly to Utah. I was in this culture of snowboarding, and the subculture was skateboarding. And when I would go skate with my new peers here, it was like a fun little thing that I had in my pocket rather than like I moved here to skate.
And what, you moved to Utah, you told your parents, you're like, nah, academia, just trust me, I got this. Like what was the map? Like you said you were going to be rookie of the year, made that happen. You said you were going to turn pro, made that happen.
Yeah. Looking back is kind of crazy, the things you manifest. But for me, it was I moved here with the intention of going to school. I mean, whether I truly believe that to my core, because now that I'm old and I'm in therapy, I know there's a difference between saying one thing and feeling the other. But I was in school when I moved here. I was taking online classes through the community college back in Moore Park, California. And then I moved here. I was working at PF Chang's still. I was working restaurant jobs. I was snowboarding.
You're working at PF Chang's?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can get into my work history. It's fascinating.
Give me that crab fried rice.
Yeah, I was slinging those lettuce wraps. Don't you worry.
Is it triggering when you see one now?
No, I mean, not because of that. It's actually, I mean, this is totally off topic, but I'll make it quick. You have to be 21 to serve in the state of Utah. I moved here when I was 20. Or yeah, 19, 20. And basically, I had this like moral complex. I was like, do I tell them I'm not 21 or do I just wait to find out? Because you make so much more money as a server than you do as a host. And at this point, I'd already been serving for 2 years back home. So I obviously chose not to tell them.
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously, I told, and they found out. I ended up, me and the manager, I'm not going to say her name, but she was nasty. And we kind of beefed, and she was the scheduling manager. So she would put me on like the shittiest shifts. And it was like this weird, talk about like being a competitive female in any industry. Like it was this weird competitive thing. I don't know. I was really young. It was super weird, really uncomfortable. Anyways, I became like good friends with the closing manager because it was just me and him every night because I was always the one having to close until the wee hours of the morning because for some reason the PF Chang's in Salt Lake City closes at 2 a.m. on weekends. Stupid. Anyways, they found out I wasn't 21. So basically the trauma behind me not really going to PF Chang's anymore isn't because I worked there. It's more so that I had a traumatizing experience with a weird boss.
Yeah. The whole service industry, it's how many of us have like worked in different spots like that. But it's pretty cool to have taken like a leap like that, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
I had the same thing happen with my parents where they're like, you're moving to California? Like, for what? Like, they understood why and all that stuff. But I think when you have it in your mind a certain way, it's like, obviously you have to prove it to everyone else, but you're also proving it to yourself that you can go and do that,
Totally. And to get back to the point of like, my parents trusting me or letting me go or whatever it was, going back, like my intention was to actually go to school. Like at this point when I moved to Salt Lake, it wasn't to become a professional snowboarder. It was to submerge myself in the culture because I was so fascinated by the culture. And the Center of Excellence, so like the Olympic Committee is here. There's like a training facility. So I was like, I had this roadmap of like, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to like get my in-state tuition. I'm going to help out at this like showroom. I'm going to like get in contact with the people of COE, the Center of Excellence, and like kind of like maybe I'll become a trainer for the Olympics. As far as like I've always been into like health and fitness and I'll be in the mountains and I can snowboard and that's great. But as time went on, the people, it kind of, I don't want to say it just fell in my lap. I think, it
The
takes,
people spoke.
but like,
They
it's
said,
like,
Jill Perkins now.
I
Take
just
her to the pro ranks.
right people. And, I guess if I got one thing right with this move was that I did submerge myself in this culture and I met people that did street snowboarding and I just kind of met the right people. And, I think for a while I chalked it up to luck. I was like, oh, right place at the right time. But, looking back, it's like, it's an energy thing. And I put myself in the positions where I wanted to be. And, my foresight might have changed. Like I didn't consider that I wanted to be a professional street snowboarder. I didn't even know that was a thing. So through learning by submerging myself with these people and in snowboarding, I basically was able to identify like what part of snowboarding I really like. And then that made my roadmap so much clearer.
You talk about the culture of Salt Lake a lot. Could we hear a little bit about that?
Yeah, Salt Lake for the right reasons is a huge mecca for snowboarding, especially street snowboarding. And not to discount the backcountry and the side country of snowboarding. I'm looking out my window and I'm just seeing like massive mountains, and so the terrain, it really like it nurtures what we want to do. It's like our playground, our skate park. And street snowboarding arguably was, fact check me, but a lot of the people that kind of started street snowboarding grew up here or spent a lot of time here. So it has a lot of history as far as snowboarding goes in general. A lot of people, every year we get a new influx of generations where people move here to go to school to snowboard. And we have local shops, we have the community here, just like it really supports us and it feels good. So it's beautiful. I love it. I'm really sad to leave it. It has aided me in being the snowboarder I am today because of everything that it has taught me.
And do you think that like your early skate brain really informed essentially your perception of street snowboarding and helped you like figure out like when I watch you snowboard, I'm like you're skating. Like it's so sick. You pick the gnarliest, most extreme, most like risk involved street spots and huck yourself down them. It's super sick. I'm like, what charges what?
Well, first off, I got to stop doing that because that's a whole nother issue up in here. But anyways, I appreciate it. Yeah, I think the influence skateboarding has had on my snowboarding is huge. I'm very inspired by watching skating and by skating myself and seeing my peers skate and like how and being able to take that and bring that style into snowboarding. It makes it a little bit less jockey. The progression in snowboarding along with skateboarding, like they're both skyrocketing and they're both gnarly in their own ways. And they both, I mean, you gotta respect it. Like people are doing some crazy shit out there.
Oh yeah. I also think like snowboarders, you're coming from an activity that requires a certain like type of weather and a certain type of environment that's not always like conducive to where everybody lives. So skateboarding, like for me, it was always I couldn't surf as much as I wanted to, so I would skateboard. And I feel like a lot of snowboarders as well have a massive off season that they tend to go skate in. Um, but yeah, it's really cool to like have watched you and your crews like create these insane videos and edits and even the crossover of like the editing and the music and the way it all translates. Like I remember years ago going to that premiere and just I felt like that edit was so similar to skate and I just felt like the variety of music, the cadence of the clips and editing and I think growing up following snowboarding a little bit and being like really psyched on Jess Kimura and snowboarders who were like really comfortable with getting out there in the streets also like really informed like my skating. So that was sick because that was like I feel like one of your first videos that you were like really entering the scene at like a crazy level.
Yeah, that was my first video ever. Other than I did work with Desiree Melanson alongside her in some of her projects. But yeah, I think they're so comparable and they're so not at the same time. But I know my crew draws a lot of inspiration from skateboarding. And I think it's a nice North Star because it's all fueled by the same passion in a way. I think it's beautiful and I think it's really cool to see the worlds collide. And I'm so fortunate and lucky to like know and love both in a way. And because it's connected me to people like you, Nora, and you, Ash, like it I feel lucky to be able to have the privilege to move to California and have these friends who understand. I think honestly, like that's a huge part of it too, is like the respect. I think there's a part of it that's like, it's because you understand what I do and I understand what you do. It might not
Yeah,
be,
so much respect.
but like I know like what goes into getting a clip. I know what goes into the travel, what goes into the team bullshit that keeps us busy when we're not filming. Like, there's a lot of like speculation around that and it's frustrating. And I think like call it trauma bonding or whatever you want to call it.
Well, like it's also I think people don't realize like we're not just skating all day. We're not just snowboarding all day. There's so much balanced of like taking care of ourselves, traveling, handling our business at home, doing business, whether it's brand deals or creative projects. It's also like you're your own manager in a way, and you actually are. Like you don't. Do you have a manager?
I do now. I have.
Okay, but you didn't forever.
No, I got an agent a year ago, a little over a year ago.
That's crazy. Like you've had to like go and basically build your own brand and also build like the resources in order to be the snowboarder you are. What was like your personal favorite accomplishment that for you was like, ooh, I could go back and like maybe relive that moment?
Definitely rookie of the year was probably, I think that was like I mean, essentially other than like small rail jams, something like that, like that was like the biggest thing. Cause at the time award shows it was the only kind of credit that we got as street snowboarders other than like view count. and it's something that's awarded to you by voted on the industry. I would relive that night. Maybe not exactly how it had gone down, but like that feeling of being like, I just did what I set out to do, you know? And I think, yeah, that's the number one.
Yeah, that was cool. I remember, I think Dakine did a commercial where they talked about you becoming Rookie of the Year. And I think Carissa Moore was like the voiceover of the commercial. And Carissa was basically saying how, I remember geeking out on this. Like, if you know who Carissa Moore
Yeah, I
is,
do, but I don't remember this. I don't think I ever saw
she's like
it.
one of the, really?
Yeah.
She's like one of the most prolific surfers of all time, but she is basically narrating this storyline. And it's a couple clips of you, and it's like picking up a snowboard and then becoming Rookie of the Year and changing the game of snowboarding within like 3 to 4 years, which is what you did. But I just remember like watching that and being like kind of geeking out because I was just like, what? This is so sick.
And you know what? I had a woman team manager at the time.
Colleen Quigley. Shout
Colleen.
out.
Like, she's one of the main reasons that I am where I am today, because of just her like pure belief in my capabilities and, you know, she saw where I wanted to go before I even saw where I wanted to go. We need more people in positions of power that are capable of doing that. Yeah. So, I mean, like, yeah, shout out Colleen, because without her, I don't know, it might have looked a lot different. Who knows?
But real talk, like we all kind of circled on how we have so much mutual respect for really powerful women in action sports, surfing, snowboarding, skating. And just want to highlight the part that you nailed perfectly, Jill, is having a female TM or just someone at a table that can help not just like be like, oh, we need to put some women on this roster and just kind of like peruse the internet and be like, I think that's the fit. But they like truly know that you're the fit. They see how you're going to move the sport. They see how you're going to push it forward because they were once in that seat and they can like sense the talent. Like the whole skate industry is built by excellent skateboarders who carved out the culture. And so they're the experts. But what if we were able to be the experts too on our culture?
I have fantastic male, can't even think of the name, team managers. Like
male guys.
Right?
There's a bunch of male guys who are helping me out.
but you know, I do, because people are people, and like that, it just, I guess what I'm saying is like, it can't just be like put a girl on. It doesn't mean just any girl. We need to have a girl TM. It can't just be any girl because to keep this place in a homeostasis, it kind of does need to be somebody who bleeds for it and is you know, exercising like they're like just like wanting to do the right things for the right reasons.
All right, everyone, we're going to take a quick ad break. You know, one thing that we were talking about just a moment ago is like how Nora was talking about how sick like video parts are in snowboarding and how much crossover there is with the soundtrack and the BTS of it all. And for sure, there's like a formula for snowboarding and skateboard videos. It's so much about the soundtrack. And I think in action sports, like people are really precious about the soundtrack. Like it's someone digging through a cassette bin in Prague and being like, I found the most obscure song ever. And look, I want to say for the record,
that shit sucks.
I know that's where I'm going with this, but like as someone, I'm a huge music curator and I love that stuff. But I wanna recognize how raw and cool for your Videograss part you put a Billie Eilish song to it, and I thought that was so cool because you said in another interview too, it was like kind of like almost like it could be an entry for somebody into snowboarding. Like it's their first premiere, they're watching a part, and they actually recognize the song, and so they feel an even bigger connection point to it. And I just think you're so good at like bringing people in. It's like one of my favorite things about you, besides the fact that you're just an epically talented snowboarder. But you're like, come on in. Like I'm not trying to make this impossible.
Yeah. I really struggle with that. Like to this day. Like I've probably thought about it this morning. You know, of the like I like to call it inclusive exclusivity, and I don't know, I'm sure people have said that before, but it's really frustrating when, you know, we're in these areas where I'm in snowboarding and it's like, you know, it's too exclusive. Like if you're not like weird or cool, you're kind of not allowed. Like, and that's not true, but that's the like energy a lot of the time. And it's extremely frustrating because it's made me question like my worth and my ability. Like, am I an artist? Now I have to be an artist too? Like, I didn't know that. And like, oh, I have to have like great music taste, but it has to appeal to the right people who are making the videos, or I'm whack, or and I finally got to a point where I was like, I am a basic bitch. I enjoy pop music. Like I remember like being like, fuck it. Like Spencer Schubert actually is the one who, this was a couple years ago now, like I kind of was like talking to him about it, and he was like, Jill, like, because one of his really good friends and one of my peers in snowboarding, Dylan Ojo, who had passed away, he was a DJ, and Spencer had told me that Ojo had basically told him like, who cares? Who cares? Like you don't have to like everything that these people are liking. That doesn't make you less of a snowboarder, And I don't want to take his words out of context, but I do. What Spencer said to me was basically like, if that's how you identify and you like Billie Eilish, fucking run it up. If people have a problem with it, that's on them. But and I can believe that and I can feel that. But is there pressure like still behind the scenes? Like, am I still nervous to play music on the aux because it might be a pop song, it might be country music, or it might be some weird rap song that I had saved from 10 years ago? Like, yeah, I'm still nervous about that. But I would love to see like more acceptance, if we can, inclusivity is one thing, but like once they're included, can we accept them? And I think that's where there's still a wall a little bit.
I think that song was like made for like a video part. I've like always said that. And it's just also very, I feel like in a way that playing that kind of music, using that type of music, really helps like the non-snowboarders or like people who aren't as familiar with the culture maybe understand it in like a cinematic way, or like I could watch something with that song and it could be something I don't understand, but it's going to hype me up because that song has
Yeah.
that vibe.
Yeah.
And so I like it for that as well, selfishly.
It was really cool too, like the feedback on it, because
Mm,
I kind of had this inkling, and I was just like, oh, I don't really care. I like it. It works. Let's just use it. And it's kind of like how I feel. But like the feedback after the premiere, like after the video was playing online, like the amount of people that were like, oh, like my partner's never wanted to watch snowboarding, but like loves your part, like, or something like
mm.
that, or it just really, it really, and having that feedback, and even people going to my like filmer and editor and saying that, like it really kind of opened his eyes to like being like, oh damn, like okay, like instead of being, as you mentioned, like the formula, which in a way there's formulas, that's, but they're very there's wiggle room in them. Because I do think if you stick to that formula, yes, it works, but it also doesn't leave room. Excuse me. It doesn't leave room for growth. And I think that's my big thing is like respecting the formula, but then kind of manipulating it in your own way, because then everybody has their own flavor.
So, I mean, I don't know if people know this about you, but like you were just talking about, do I have to be an artist now and all this stuff? But you're pretty handy with the jigsaw, dude.
Yeah, I know. Funny. On the contrary, I actually do enjoy building things, which I guess not a pen
Yeah.
on paper, but I do like it. Yeah.
You've been making a bunch of tables and other objects and doing some tiling. And like for you, do you feel like it's a good break from like the physicality of snowboarding?
Oh, 100%. I think it's like the single time that I get to like be in my garage alone and like using my output and brain in a different way that, with a lot of risk and chances, but not as consequential as like falling off a building.
Totally.
Risks of like, oh, did I measure that wrong? Shit, I learned my lesson. I'm going to try it again. It's like, it's like perfectly frustrating and also a wonderful outcome at the end because you like have something tangible to be proud of. And yeah, I really like that. And I think too, it really is just like, I could be having a bad day and I'll be working, but like in the hours of me working, I'm not really focusing on like maybe why I'm upset.
Tell us visually what it is that you've been making.
Dude, I wish I just packed. I just sent them all in the truck this morning, but kind of everything. I think I've been making little tile pieces. I remember
They're not little.
Well,
They're like beautiful
you're
pieces of
made like
furniture.
they vary in sizes. And I just like was looking on Facebook Marketplace and I was like looking for furniture and I was like looking at the prices and I basically was like, this is insane. Like everything's so expensive. I mean, on a resale site too, I'm like, this is crazy. And then I was looking further and I was like, I could just do that. Like also like I have time. I actually got into it when I was injured. So, cause I would just be sitting here and like, what am I even doing? Um, yeah, so I've built like side tables. I've built like little like plant stands, coffee tables, like book holders, like cookbook holders, I guess, like just like accent pieces that are like, completely like made to order as far as like colors go and what people want if they want to buy them. But I do find it just like very like meditative to make.
I could totally see you like this summer, maybe when you have more time, doing like a bunch of pieces and having an art show with them. And it's funny because you're like, I have to be artistic, whatever. But I'm like, it's all there, dude. It's like it's all just however you want to do it. But it is so nice to have something that you can lose yourself in and work with your hands and like get lost in, especially like alone and off your phone. It's
Yeah,
like
that's huge.
the best thing. Yeah, huge practice.
I think one of the things I fell in love with snowboarding and skateboarding, all these things that are like, to like the gen pop, I guess, would be like, whoa, that's crazy you do that. Like I fell in love with like the arc of progression and like learning something, you're like starting from the bottom, you're getting increasingly better and better and better until you kind of like plateau or, your accomplishments, you're still accomplishing things that you're just not like, they're not major. And, I think that it's the same shit when it comes to like building things. It's like I didn't really know anything and like I'm slowly getting better or I'm getting better at it, and I'm addicted to that. Like it's not necessarily what it is I'm doing. Like of course I have to like it to some capacity, but like learning how to build these pieces of furniture or these like art pieces, I guess if you want to say, it has a similar feeling to like learning how to do a front board. And so
Yeah.
it's all the same. It's just the evolution of life and like what I like back then I needed a physical release, and now my
Mm,
life is filled with
mm.
physical releases all the time because it's my job. And now I need like a mental release, but also maybe that nurtures like my creative side, which is now furniture making or tile work or whatever you want to call it.
Speaking of physical releases, I mean, I feel like for the last 2 years, I've seen you either in a boot around your ankle,
Mhm.
double black eyes, black eye. Like,
Yeah, I
what
got
is going on?
this nice scar. So that's forever, baby.
Wow. I mean, it looks
Uh,
cool. But what's up? Like broken back? We're
that will
talking
a lot of injuries for sure. But it's come to the territory, it's kind of par for the course. And not that I like bring it on, but injuries have been a massive part of my career and trajectory. And I think a lot of it came from my initial draw to like doing gnarly things. And that's a kind of a scary territory because like once you do that, that's kind of your baseline. And then, that like thrill or that clip high or that, all those like endorphins, like you kind of just have to keep reaching and keep jumping higher and higher for all of them. Right. So injuries kind of come with the territory. I guess for me, I've been working a lot on like my mental stuff. And I kind of had this understanding. Someone kind of told me they were like, those voices in your head that are, you get hurt and you get traumatized by that. It's like PTSD. It's like micro PTSD essentially. And what it is like your body telling you, like the voices in your head are basically your body telling you like, listen, bitch, you haven't been listening to me for the past 10 years. And like, it's now time that you listen to me. And it's not a sick and twisted way of like, you got injured and that's karmic or anything like that. But like, it is a nice reminder to like it's a nice reminder for me to like listen to my body and listen to my mind and understand like, hey, am I getting anxiety because this is a bad idea? Or am I getting anxiety because like, this is a scary risk, but you know how to assess it and conquer it essentially. Um, so yeah, injuries are tough and they're tough on your physical body, but the older you get, they're tough on your mental.
I feel like as I get older, the injuries are tougher on me mentally.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird thing in the sense of like, I do feel like in a lot of ways I'm way better than I ever was at skateboarding, but there's this version of myself that tends to like get in the way depending on how I'm feeling on any given day.
For
And
sure.
it's like even if I'm super prepped or feel good, a certain thought can enter my brain and completely alter that.
Yeah.
And once it happens, like for me, I've gotten hurt after visualizing myself getting hurt and trying to push through it.
Mhm.
And now I know once I've let a certain amount of visualization come into my brain and once I've like let the demon maybe have power in that way, I know I have to stop because there's almost no way to like reset it.
Yeah.
And I probably will get hurt.
Yeah.
But that's like a whole practice in itself, you
Oh,
know?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I completely agree. And it's really difficult, especially when, you're constantly, I think we've been living in a state of fight or flight for, I don't know, 15 years now, like a long time.
Mm,
And it gets skewed, And so it's like you mentioned the amount of that like bad thought coming in, like what's the floodgate? Like what's the perfect amount, or like what's too much, or like when do you draw that line? And it's a really difficult thing to do, especially when you're put in a situation where it's like your time is now. Like you've been sitting in the van for 5 days and you're driving around Japan and you haven't snowboarded, and it's now your turn to snowboard, and it's like, oh, you don't it's not a luxury of ours to be able to be like, today's not my day, I'll go tomorrow. Like,
totally.
and so it becomes really confusing because it is, like I was saying earlier, it's like it's to decipher the difference between like um like a gut feeling and a trauma response. And so I've been really practicing that. I've been really trying to work on that, and it's been working. I think at the same time though, I worry, and this is this is my therapy session, so thank you for being here.
That's why we created the show.
Yeah. It's because I have this thought where it's like, I was talking to my therapist and I was like, okay, but I'm done saying no. Like, that's great. I've been honing in on that and I've been practicing these anxieties. I've been practicing going up and being like, today's not my day. I want to leave it all out there. So I'm going to play it safe. And now I just hit this point where I'm like, but now I'm like comfortable playing it safe. And like, I'm also on the flip side, like not being fulfilled because I'm not snowboarding in the way that I once did based off these injuries and these traumas that I've had. So it's a work in progress, but it's really important. I mean, I think like especially for like the listeners and people doing it, and for all these other athletes that know what we're talking about, it's
Yeah.
absolutely terrible. But I do believe that it gets better, and I do believe there's a way of like, I think there's a part of acceptance too, where it's like, okay, I accept that maybe I don't want to do the gnarliest thing anymore. How can I now move forward and like redefine what I want to do with that energy?
You get a snowmobile.
You get a sled. Yep. Which, mind you, I mean, it's everything they said it was going to be. It's hard as hell.
Okay, well, this is going to take us into one of our newer segments called Get a Grip.
All right, Kaylee.
It's a quick rapid fire. Snowboarders versus skateboarders. Who has worse fashion right now?
Oh, I mean, that just depends. I think skateboarders have worse fashion on the snow, obviously. And I think a lot of snowboarders dress like they wish they were skateboarders.
On the snow, off the snow, in the streets.
Nora V can work on her swag on snow, but we've had this conversation, so she knows.
I'm talking like urban lifestyle.
I'm not trying to look good when I snowboard twice a year, okay?
I know, my bad.
All right.
I know.
And guess what?
Shots
I
fired.
always ask.
I know,
What?
but no, I appreciate that. When you were asking me, I was like, hell yeah, Nora. Hell yeah.
I feel like I did. What's the first thing you would change about what I'm wearing
The
when I
purple
snowboard?
32 bibs and the
A
sunglasses
purple
you used-
30.
the sunglasses
Since
you used to
when?
wear.
Oh yeah, those are sick.
But it's you. That's fine.
Well, I just got goggles this year for the first time.
Yeah,
Wow.
And I liked them. I've always had a hard time with the peripherals of the goggle. I don't know.
You have to practice. I was the same way.
Well, I got there.
Yeah. Sorry, to
And
answer your question, to go back to the original question, who has better clothing style?
snowboarders or skateboarders?
And you just mean like going to coffee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody looks the same. Next question.
I like that. I like that.
All right. LA Jill or Salt Lake Jill? Who's more dangerous?
Depends on who you ask.
LA Jill.
I mean, we all know LA Jill. Which LA sound sirens like get ready. Woo!
Calling me out.
A snowboard trick that skateboarders think is cool but actually isn't.
A Miller flip, pretty whack. I mean, yeah, Miller flip, pretty whack on a snowboard. Like a front flip off a rail, pretty whack on a snowboard, and a combo on a rail, pretty whack.
I feel like Miller flips, it's funny that skaters would think that they're cool because they're really whack skateboarding.
Yeah, I just sometimes feel like maybe like the core, like it's just, I think it's a wow factor thing. It's like, or backflip.
I think it's like, yeah, but I feel like a backflip's actually like hardish, where Miller flip is just kind of like this. It's like a,
it's a cartwheel.
it's like if I'm going to Venice Park, like Venice Beach Skate
Yes,
Park, you're
dude.
like gonna see a Miller flip.
Most overrated snowboard city?
Salt Lake City.
We knew you were going to say that. Most underhyped snowboard city?
Ooh. Ooh. I was just in Lithuania on a trip, and they had such a pure community, and I just want to like kind of mention that because they are doing something right. Like it was like they were all really coming together and like supporting one another, no matter where you come from or who you are, and it was really cool to see.
Coolest snowboarder of all time?
Oh gosh, cool is such a.
Okay, your favorite snowboarder of all time?
I have a bunch of respect for Barrett Christie for sure. A lot of the people that come to my head are people that are doing stuff for the sport, and I like Barrett Christie is one of them. Jessica Mara is somebody. I mean, that's such a tough question. I can name my favorite people to snowboard with. Reed Smith for sure is on there. Scott Blum. I just think Steffi Luxton. Oh man, I'm just naming my friends. Katie.
And what about skateboarder that time and time again just gets you super stoked?
Oh, I mean, well, Nora, obviously. I'm also going to name my friends. Nora, Nicole, Fabi. Honestly, Poe Pinson gets me super fucking hyped.
Poe!
Yeah, Poe gets me hyped. And Poe snowboarding also gets me super hyped. Georgia Martin. Georgia is like the goated. Like she's on
She's a goat.
She's so dope, I think. But I really love how fast Fabi skates. And you know, when I go skating with her, I really admire, like, she is such a professional. Like, she puts on a clinic everywhere she goes. And I'm like, I know you're good, you know, like I skate with you, but I'm like, when she just is out of park for hours, I'm like, holy fuck, like what can't she do kind of thing. So yeah.
You got to go on the first official loop trip.
Yes, I was there. Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit? Can you break it down? What was van life like? What was it like being the only snowboarder in this massive crew of skaters? You know,
It didn't.
it was.
Yeah. If anything, I mean, I love it. Like those are all my homies. So it was like,
Yeah.
it was vacation for me, you know. And I think
Yeah.
that was the problem. This is vacation.
I love that.
It was so fun. I think ultimately, like I was going through, I left halfway to get injections on my shoulder. So like yeah, that's basically it. Like that sucked.
Yeah.
But other than that, like van life was like, it was so easy for me, that part of it, because it was like, I was there as like a guest rather than to be a fly on the wall, because I know what that pressure is like when I'm snowboarding, and like it sucks ass. Like it's so terrible, and like everyone feels it. Not everyone talks about it. And so I just was watching it kind of happen around. But I thought they did it such a good job at like everything was like very like inclusive, and like everybody got a chance, and it was like show up how you want to show up today. And like, I don't know, you put 12 girls in a van, what's the worst that can happen, you know?
So sick.
A lot of energy, a lot of personalities.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
you
problem with a
think?
12-person pack van. Skateboarding and snowboarding, they say they support women, but we kind of still see the industry getting it wrong. So what does a brand need to do to get it right in your mind?
it's going to take time to change, I guess, ultimately, because it's not like a brand tomorrow can be like, okay, we're putting on 6 girls, like, let's do this, you know? I mean, they could. Who knows? Maybe they could, but
That's the thing, they could. And there is a business model to support a decision like that.
so yeah, I think what brands could do differently or a little bit better is like be more transparent, more inclusive, do a better job at like delegating trips for the women, rather than feeling like you're just tagged on to something.
Yeah, big
Um,
time.
because
Totally.
and I do think like, you know, it's like spending time with people and creating a quality relationship with somebody is like that's what's going to make you want to have somebody's back more than and this is from my point of view, like I'd rather have somebody's back because they're a good person rather than they're a good snowboarder. And I would imagine a lot of women do feel that way as well. But we don't really get the opportunities to do that, you know? It's like we're going on this brand trip, Jill's going to be our girl, so we're not going to bring the other 2 girls that are on the team or whatever, you know?
When
And
you just want to bring them and snowboard with them because you're all living in this timeline where you have this opportunity and you want to like relish in that together because you see the guys doing that. You
Yeah.
know, like
And you're going to get a better product. You're going to like the trip's going to be better, the outcome, you're going to get more hyped, you're going to feel safer. It's like it feels so obvious to us, yet it's such a missing piece to the actual experience.
no, I just think like how we were talking about Colleen earlier. I think everybody, men, women, they, them, everybody will benefit from more women being involved at the top, like super behind the scenes, whether that's creatively or in the sales department or up at CFO. It's like when there's representation there, it just creates like a more all-encompassing thing, you know? I mean, even seeing it like we were on a Skull Candy shoot like 2 weeks ago, and like the creative team is like a bunch of women and a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
And so is the talent team. And it's just the blend, like everyone just blends so well together and everyone having fun and no one's like stressing about, um, I don't know. I just feel like more boxes get checked when there's more diversity behind the scenes, because you're just covering all the bases versus the same type of 5 to 10 different guys doing it all, you know?
And you've spoken publicly a lot about these dynamics and kind of just the unhealthy power dynamics within it all. You've been willing to talk about sponsors there's been misconduct within it, and it was taken a lot of courage to talk about it publicly, leave a company, leave a job behind. And I think something you said that really stuck out in an interview, if you all haven't listened to and want to spend another 2 hours listening to the greatest person ever, Jill Perkins, talk, the Bomb Hole, very cool snowboard podcast, great work over there, that you could be kicked off a team as easily as you were put on the team. And like the power at which these things are brokered, that you are at completely the mercy of someone's opinion and how you perform in that initial moment of being on the team.
Basically, Jill spoke up in the past about some pretty serious things that happened to her, and the accusations were never taken seriously, and there was literally nothing done about it. And for Jill's peace of mind, she had to leave this brand because no one was willing to do anything about it. And it's totally insane that we live in a day and age where, as a female athlete, you can come forward and be like, this happened to me. I'm uncomfortable. She's uncomfortable. And for it to just be like completely either swept under the rug or like, yeah, well, I think he's a good guy.
I sleep good at night because I know that I did the right thing. And I wasn't sleeping well when I hadn't done the right thing, or when I was a little timid or scared of doing the right thing, or you know, it was like I didn't even know what doing the right thing looked like until I was like, this feels so uncomfortable and I need to fucking figure it out. But yeah, I mean, it is unfair, and like the lack of the fear of not wanting to speak up because you don't want to ruin future partnerships or anything like that. That's valid and that's fair, and it's not right, but it's not right. And I think I guess what got me through that mindset was like, the brands that I want to partner with are the people that are going to want to partner with me. Because it's like if they, also like I like to think that I have good rapport with a lot of brands. And, because I work so closely with them one on one for a long time, like years, like they know that like it wasn't like the girl who cried wolf. Like this is like the first thing that I get along with every other team manager that I have and everybody else I work with. Like there's never been anything.
And that's why, I mean, it's just one of the million reasons it should get taken seriously.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy about it.
And when you spoke, you spoke for skateboarding though too. I think that was one of the things that I was really excited to have you on the pod for is you rip. We love you. So there's that. But then when you took an opportunity to be really publicly clear about misconduct from a previous sponsor that was a significant sponsor, a huge portion of your paycheck, and you walked away from that and were willing to speak publicly about it so gracefully, I felt like you were speaking for skateboarding. You were like one of the first voices to be like calling out behavior that happens in all these action sport industries that just doesn't get talked about. So to not rehash the story, Jill, but like, are you able to kind of like just get listeners up to speed and
it happens all over. Sexual, verbal harassment, misconduct. It happens in every industry. And mine happens to be snowboarding, which is relatively similar to skateboarding. And yeah, so I a few years ago, in my career, I was with this company. I was brand new to the company. I was really stoked on the company because I was like, it was something that I could. It was an energy drink company, and at the time, energy drink companies weren't really sponsoring street snowboarders. There was a few, and that were kind of in like a different generation than but in my direct, not many, especially girls. So I was like, okay, cool. Like this is. I remember thinking like this is kind of odd, but I'm down. And if I can, there's a lot of speculation around energy drink companies, but like I would like to be a glimmer of like, let's change this space and like, if there's one, let's get more kind of thing. Anyway, so I signed with this company, and very quickly after we there were some issues with a team manager, and they revolved around, like partying and, putting hands where hands shouldn't have been put and saying things that shouldn't have been said. And, when you're put in a position where there's like a iron claw on you of like money, where it's like half your salary a year and you just bought a house and you need to, you just need to make ends meet, you hit rock bottom in a way where you're like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Like I know that's wrong, but I need to but I'm screwed. I'm like, my back's against the wall, literally. And, anyways, that being said, it was a weird thing. I didn't really know what really was happening at first. And I thought I could handle it myself because I don't know why. I just was like, I can get over this. Like, I've gotten over things in the past. I can get over things now. And it just kind of turned into this thing that I realized that I couldn't really get over. And I didn't really feel comfortable working along this person at all. So yeah, I ended up there was like a couple other things that happened with other people, and I decided to go to HR about it. And HR basically decided to do the bare minimum of just like, it's funny because I didn't make the choice. I didn't choose for this to happen to me, right? And when it did, their response was, okay, you're the problem, so I'm just going to remove this person from you. Like, like this person's going to keep their job, but you're going to actually move to a different boss, or like you're going to have, and so right then and there, it already puts me in a different position than everybody else on the team. And that creates a problem. And it becomes very uncomfortable. And for not just me, but for everybody else, because it's like, well, what's going on? I made the decision to leave after going to HR and them kind of doing like, giving me like a minimal response about it. And it's something that I believe is like a very important topic and a very hurtful, like people quit their jobs. People walk away from things they love because people's actions and choices and what they do and what they say. And it's not really fair at all.
I would just think that keeping your athletes safe should be like your number one priority, like period. And
But
it's just
Nora,
not that hard to do.
when you're in the minority, like it's
Yeah.
really easy to prioritize the other portion of the athletes and riders. And what I always found really hard behind the scenes is calling out a lot of the behavior or like seeing how this could be an unsafe environment and just like being like, you're like, I have too many stories for the air right now and
Yeah.
for this episode. But when I would point them out, what would get so far in the way is like the deep relationships that would happen from the owner of that company, the brand manager to the team manager, that they've been in a pack together for decades.
Yeah.
And that would always be the number one wall that would just happen. Outside of the fact that
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is wrong. Like I'm going to talk to them. But behavior was super unsafe.
Yeah.
And it's just not the environment that we should be fostering. And like, yeah, I get like skateboarding and snowboarding and surfing at times is anti-corporate, anti-rules, this and that. But like basic professional accountability
Yeah.
needs to happen. Basic like rights within all this needs to happen. And yeah, I just don't. You were one of the few to like call it out, and how many behind you didn't. And I guess what I want to know is like, this happened about a year, 2 years ago for you, right?
2021 is like when it happened. Like when
Okay,
it,
so 5 years ago,
Yeah.
do you feel like anything has changed? Obviously, women have like reached out to you within this. Like we have you on the pod to be like, you're telling our story too, and we haven't even been able to get into it really. Do you think anything's changed, or has it just been quiet, business as usual?
it's hard for me to decipher whether they've changed as a whole or if they changed based off of the way people treat me. Because when I entered a new agreement with a different company, it was on the table. They had known what happened. Like, this is all coming out and they knew. And like, so that feels different. The respect I get from them and the open conversation and like the honesty from the company I'm with now, where they're like, we understand that this happened. We want to have your back. You let us know what makes you comfortable and like, we will handle it. That feels different. Coming from a place where it was like, we hear your concerns and we're choosing to ignore them. And that's just a personal experience of mine. As far as like other brands, like a lot of it's behind the scenes and a lot of people it's super uncomfortable to talk about. So like, it's I don't know. I don't hear that much unless I'm getting, a DM or someone's calling me or texting me about like, hey, this just happened. Um But yeah, I think it breaks my heart to know that like these people out there exist and we're awarding them for their bad behavior and they're allowed to just stay in a comfortable position where they can affect these people's lives. And it really blows me away because like I do know that like my physical capabilities of snowboarding and my love for snowboarding have definitely changed as an outcome to this situation. And I know that firsthand. And so like when I think about it, like it breaks my heart to know like how many other people were turned away from something that they loved because of somebody else's actions. And that sucks.
Yeah, I think that's the real talk of it all right
Yeah.
there. I mean, there's so many layers to this, and I think we could talk about this till next Sunday. But
I think too, it's like, the line needs to be drawn in concrete, not sand. Like it is hard, like to your point where it's like we work in industries that there's a lot of gray area. And with the homies working for homies and this brand started by my cousin or, like my old skate buddy, like that's a real thing. And like, but at the end of the day, you're right. People are people and people have rights. And like, you shouldn't want to make people feel uncomfortable in what they're doing. And, I encourage people to talk about it and move forward and like, kind of get to the bottom because I do believe that like the more people who do speak up about it, the more change we will see. And we see this in a lot of things in life. And I know it's super uncomfortable and I know it's scary and like all those feelings that you're feeling of like it's going to ruin and tarnish, future partnerships, whatever. They're real feelings and like, but it's important because like as somebody who's gone through it, like I feel better on the other side of it than I did when I was
are you working on a part right now for anything?
Yeah, we're just finishing up a 2-year, actually, first 2-year I've ever done. Super awesome. In snowboarding, we don't like really get the luxury to like do something to completion as much as skating. I know skating too has like brand trips and stuff like that, but typically our video parts we're filming for like a course of 3 months traveling to snow, you're probably on like a week to 2 week trips. It's a lot in a short amount of time. So I've had the luxury to do a 2-year, and we're finishing that up now. Comes out in the fall for Videograss, and yeah, I'm hyped. I'm excited. It should be good.
Potty.
Can you leak the music?
I've been on a big share kick lately.
Hell
all
yes.
I can say.
Wow. Is that
Yeah.
for real? Like you guys might get rights to
Well-
share for your part?
Well,
Too
we-
far.
no comment.
All right. Well, everybody, if
I
you're
have
not
to convince-
familiar,
I convinced my filmer too, but he gets it now. I sent him. He knows I'm on it.
trust Jill. If there's anything from this conversation that we haven't learned, just trust Jill. And for those that are listening, I know this is a skateboard podcast, but Jill could be pro as a skateboarder. If you haven't watched any of Jill Perkins' snowboarding parts, please do yourself a favor and sit back and enjoy. Well, this is good luck with that. And I would love to know what kind of luck you're needing these days.
Well, I need good luck. I need to find a place to live. That sounds pretty cool. So I need good luck with finding a home that has a garage/workspace/ room for me and my lovely dog.
Thanks for joining us today. All right, skaters, listeners, thanks for tuning in to such a great episode with Jill Perkins. You can find her at Jill_Perkins on Instagram. And a nice little reminder, you can find us at @GoodLuckPod. Give us a follow. Send us some feedback. We'd love to hear it, and also not, but we'd love to hear it. We'll be back next week, and we'll see you there.
Also, can I add something really quick?
Yeah.
I also just want to add that if you or somebody you know is dealing with something, misconduct in the workplace, my DMs are always open. I know these 2 DMs are always open as well. So just let us know, because together we can change the world.
Real talk. Please do write in. We can be a resource potentially for you all.
Hit us up.
Good Luck With That is an iHeart Women's sports production in partnership with Deep Blue Sports and Entertainment.
We are your hosts, Ashley Rayfeld, Nora Vasconcelos, and Alex White. Our executive producer is Jesse Katz. Produced by Tari Harrison, Daniel Goodman, and Grace Fuse.
Listen to Good Luck With That, a skateboarding podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.